Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this July 2nd version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon on the EOA network. And here in a bit, we're going to have Nelson Tracey, the filmmaker who did Breakup Season right here in La Grande, is going to be with us and kind of giving us an update. He's making a tour and is showing the film at different film festivals. It's doing really well, and he's going to kind of give us an update on what's going on there. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Second Monday. We're getting by, though. It's already July. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's my birthday month.
Yeah. Well, and happy 4th of July, because we won't.
yeah.
We're not going to have a show on the 4th.
We will, however, be live streaming the fireworks for the fourth straight year.
Yeah.
And
that's going to be a cool event. Hopefully people have seen the little promo thing that you put together.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it in my stream all the time. So that's
the voice will be familiar to Buffalo Peak fans because the ad that runs at the movie theater is my voice too.
Yeah.
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 Hopefully this year there's no rattlesnakes. That rattlesnake was large.
Was it?
It spanned across the whole cart path.
Yeah. Well, he was just sunning himself out there.
He was, yeah. And JD's like, run it over. I'm like, no. What if it jumps up in here with us? No.
So did it just eventually pass when it saw you? I mean,
I went around it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that. I understand that.
I mean, there's a lot of food sources that time of year, too, because I think I might have seen about probably 10 little baby birds just hopping around that, I don't even think they could fly yet. So, I mean, the eggs from that and the actual birds themselves are snacks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then everybody talks about, oh, man, don't go, rattlesnakes, don't hit your ball in the tulies. If I hit my ball in the tulies, it stays.
It's there?
It becomes a McCraw kid because Joel's kids go and pick up balls out there.
Oh, do they?
And so it becomes I'm going to start writing little messages on them. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if found, return to owner.
Yeah.
Golf balls are expensive, man. Jeez.
How much are golf? I have no idea. I've not.
I would imagine they're like, if I had to, it's $3 each.
Wow.
$2, yeah, somewhere right around there.
Yeah, I've never.
They're not cheap.
I've never bought.
A sleeve is like $12, I think. I don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
I haven't bought golf balls in quite some time because McCraw's kids gave me a big bag of balls that they picked up out there.
That they salvage out there. Yeah.
So I haven't. And then I also won a drawing at a golf tournament, and I got I want to say there was 200 balls in a bucket.
Oh, wow.
New balls.
Yeah.
So I haven't had to buy golf balls in quite some time.
Yeah. We used to, when I was a kid, we lived next to a golf course. And so then we'd get the golf balls, but we would cut them in two. I mean, because that was, I don't know why kids did. So you take the jacket off, and in those days, I don't know how they're built now, but in those days, it was just like a rubber band, like a long thing of rubber band that was wrapped.
I know that's how baseballs are, but I didn't know that's how golf balls are. I thought golf balls were one piece.
I would imagine the technology has changed quite a bit, but
since the 40s.
No, it used to be. I need something over here that I can throw at you every time you make some age joke. Yeah. No, it was like in that day they had a solid little rubber core.
Right, like a baseball.
I mean, and then there was probably, I don't know, an inch of rubber band that was just wrapped around it.
That's how a baseball is too.
Yeah,
I've never opened a golf ball. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyhow.
No.
All right.
Have.
You want to do sports?
Let's do it.
All right.
AM Sports Report brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress, right here in La Grande. Find your perfect couch at Northwest Furniture and Mattress. Discover high-quality sofas. I mean, go check them out. You can't go wrong there. The Daggett family's just got an awesome showroom. They do a lot for the community. Visit them today or give them a call at 541-963-5440. Northwest Furniture and Mattress. Love where you lounge. That's a new one. Love where you lounge. I saw it on there.
Is that it?
Yeah. Well, I just saw a hashtag on their Facebook page, so I always just kind of, pay attention to what they're putting out and give them a little bit of love. Let's see. Union County Little League brought home a pair of district titles over the weekend for softball. Both the 10U and 12U teams from Union County will be representing District 3 in the upcoming state tournament. Congratulations, girls. And then Oregon Lightning 18U softball team from LeGrand went 6-0 this weekend to win the Celebrate America tournament in Portland. Congratulations, ladies. That photo was courtesy of Autumn Strand. The Oregon East-West Shrine Game 2024 is 3 weeks away from Saturday. If you want to advertise during the game, email us, office@eoalive.tv, or you can message us right here on Facebook. Most people know how to get a hold of us one way or the other. If you don't, office@eoalive.tv. What's a football game without cheerleaders, though? Megan Day with the OCCA coordinates the cheerleaders for the Shrine Game, and she does a great job with it. Here's a quick look at last year's practice. What a fun time that is. That takes place on Thursday. The girls get there and they practice at the high school, and they were just pumped up to have like some media coverage there, and it was a good time. Megan, the coordinator, her passion is cheerleading, and you can totally tell, and it's really awesome. Yesterday I sat down with Elgin High School grad, state champion wrestler, future Mountie football player, and a member of the 2024 East-West Shrine Game. He's the only representative from the Valley this year, and that interview should be coming out either tomorrow or Friday. It just kind of depends on what happens. Pay attention. We talk about, the Shrine Game, about his high school career, his aspirations, and he's just a great kid, so check that out. Finally, the McKinley family needs our help. Cade is going into his sophomore year at LeGrand High School. He's battling a form of Ewing sarcoma cancer. That QR code on the screen takes you directly to their GoFundMe page where you can help out with the family's medical and traveling expenses. They're making like a whole bunch of trips over to Portland every month, and it's just a lot to bear, and if you have any means to help this family, do it. If you aren't a GoFundMe fan, U.S. Bank here in LeGrand has an account set up, the McKinley family or Cade's Courage. If you can donate. You see those bracelets on the screen right there. I still have some left here at the studio. They're free, and they just show that you are, in support of, and it doesn't even have to be monetarily. You can pray for them. You can do whatever you feel you need to do to support them. He's a great kid, and that's a great family, and they've done a lot for this community. So if you have the means, help them out. And Sports Report brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress. Big red rocking chair on Elm, off Adams in LeGrand.
All right. Good stuff. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at outside. It's a little overcast today, but beautiful. Yeah.
I wore a sweatshirt today, but I also left the house at about 5:30.
Yeah.
So.
And then let's look at the weather graphic. See what do we got going? So 81 today.
81? Oh, look at them temperatures that are coming.
Yeah, be hot.
Good grief. It goes 87, 94, 96, 98. And then it's just going to smack us
So,
in the
yeah,
mouth.
and the humidity is like, it's going to be dry. Look at all that. It's 1% or 0%.
I don't think that's the humidity though, is it? That's the percent chance
well,
of rain.
percentage of chance of rain. Yeah, but I wonder what the.
There's no way the humidity is 0. Right?
No, you're right. You're right.
That's the percent. That's
It's
the
got to
chance
be in
that
the
it's going
30
to rain.
percentage or something, like 30 or 40. Yeah. But
if it was 0 humidity, it would be miserable too. Oof, just
yeah,
like
just
dry.
everything gets super dry.
Yeah, it's like having too much humidity.
Yeah. although I would rather have low humidity than too much.
Oh, me too.
Oh,
yeah, when I was in Atlanta, I touched down in Atlanta one time, flying to Alabama and then to Miami, and I mean, literally, I got off the plane. I got on the plane in Portland in sweatshirt and sweatpants, just lounging. Got off the plane and I was soaked by the time I got to the end of the tarmac, just from sweating. I had to change in Alabama, I had to change my shirt about 5 times a day.
No, it was the humidity. I mean, I lived in Kansas City for 4 years, and it's just like, it just sucks everything out of you.
Yep. Bud says, perfect weather for the Moonlight Tournament. Oh, is that? I haven't heard anything about that. I have seen nothing on social media about Moonlight. So if that's coming up, I mean, apparently it is. Bud says that it's perfect weather for the Moonlight Tournament, so I'm assuming it's like coming up maybe this weekend.
Yeah, maybe
but
so.
I've seen absolutely nothing. So they're not doing a good job of pushing it, because I mean, part of my job is being on social media, and I spend a lot of time on there, and I've seen nothing.
Yep. All right. And so did we already talk about the details about Buffalo Peak, the Thunder at the Peak yet?
Yeah, we said, 4th of July, we'll start the stream at about, 5 minutes before dark.
Yeah.
And, it's just going to be a live stream of the fireworks like usual.
Right, and then people
might go live a couple times before then, just to check in and see what people are doing.
There is going to be, so there's stuff happening all day in Union during the day.
Cornhole tournament at 5
Yeah.
at the Baptist Church. Vendors downtown from 6 to 9, and then fireworks at dark up at the golf course.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So, hey, one of our sponsors the next few weeks is going to be the LeGrand Fire Department, and they're looking for a 911 dispatcher supervisor for the 911 center that is here in LeGrand. And for those that might not understand, it's kind of a division of responsibilities. The sheriff's department takes care of the jail for all of the agencies, and the police department takes care of the 911 dispatch center for all of the agencies. And so they're looking for a supervisor, along with the other requirements that they have. They're looking for people that need to have 5 years of experience as a dispatch person. And if you or you know someone that's qualified for that job, be sure and check out the information at lgpdjobs.com. LGPD, LeGrand Police Department Jobs.com. There's information there. So, alrighty. So here in just a minute, we're going to have Nelson Tracey with us, the director of the film Breakup Season, just as soon as we get back.
4th of July is literally around the corner, and if you haven't been to Buffalo Peak for Thunder at the Peak, you're missing out. Thunder at the Peak is the only fireworks show in the valley. It kicks off with a cornhole tournament at the Baptist Church at 5 p.m., followed by vendors in downtown Union from 6 to 9. Then make your way up to the golf course for plenty of music and camaraderie, with the fireworks kicking off at dark. EOA Live is proud to partner with Buffalo Peak, and will be live streaming the fireworks for the 4th consecutive year on our network. Bring the thunder this 4th of July and meet me at the Peak.
Hello there, my name is William McLaughlin, and I am the play-by-play announcer for this year's EOA Live sports broadcast of the Oregon East-West Shrine All-Star Football Game. This is my 4th consecutive year doing this, and it is truly an honor. This game means a lot to me, not just because it showcases great athletes from around the state of Oregon, but also because I was once a patient of Shriners Hospital for Children. Shriners' motto is love to the rescue, and they truly mean that. The work they do for children is truly amazing, and it makes a difference. Trust me, I know from personal experience. If your business is interested in being a game day sponsor for this year's game on July 27th, reach out to EOA TV today. We offer multiple sponsorships, including game title sponsor, game sponsor, quarter sponsor, replay sponsor, and more. Consider being a sponsor today. Not only does it go to a great cause, but it's also a great way to promote your business throughout the region and on the only broadcast of the East-West Shrine All-Star Football Game.
All right, we're back with Nelson Tracey in LA this morning. Hey, how are you, man?
Hey, thanks for having me on. Great to see you guys.
Yeah.
Been a little bit.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, you too. How you been?
Been good. Been very busy. Yeah, just doing the, getting the movie out there little by little, one city at a time at this point. So, yeah, I think last time I spoke with you two, we were in editing because it was about a year ago, and now we've completed the film itself. We completed it in February, and then right away in March, we played at our first film festival, which was the Desertscape Film Festival in St. George, Utah. And that kind of kicked off a nationwide film festival tour and taking it all over the country to various film festivals of all sizes and bringing it to audiences all around the country.
So talk to us a little bit. I mean, we have no knowledge about how to get a film.
That's all right.
So, I mean, is that the means by which independent filmmakers get their film out there often?
Sure. Yeah, no, great question. So yeah, just for context for anyone who isn't familiar with the project or hasn't heard about it before, Breakup Season, it's an independent film that we shot in La Grande, Oregon, all around town in February of 2023. And because it was done independently, we don't have what is called distribution, and that is what gets it out into the world. So in traditional movies, that was like getting into movie theaters, and then streaming came along and it became Netflix and Hulu and those places. And so we are independent. So what you do is you take it to film festivals first and you generate interest, you get some press and critic reviews, and you show audiences that it's a good movie and we've gotten good reviews, and so that it's compelling and interesting to people, and that kind of put your money where your mouth is in front of real audiences all over the country, whether it's in North Carolina or Chicago or New York or La Grande. And so that's a way to showcase what the film is, and then eventually generate interest that will get it for a more wide release happening around Christmas time.
So then how do you get to the wide release part?
Sure.
I mean, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's kind of all happening behind the scenes with the film festivals is you're meeting with various sales agents who work a little bit like when you publish a book, you have a publishing agent, and publishing agents have relationships with people who publish books. Sales agents have relationships with distributors and play outlets to get it out there. And it's not just putting it in theaters or getting on streaming anymore. It's also, like VOD and AVOD and all these different outlets and that can get at different places. So building relationships with different partners who can then connect you to the right avenues, and treating like a product that you want to get out into the world, and taking any and all different ways that you can do that and being strategic with it. So it's just building relationships with the right people who do have those existing relationships.
Yeah, so do you have, like an artist might have an agent who is promoting them. Do you guys have an agent that promotes your film, or is that you?
Yes, eventually we will have an agent. We don't at the moment. It's just us. It's the true independent spirit working on securing that. And so for the time being, that's where the film festivals open up doors, and those agents and distributors are often paying attention to film festivals and reaching out to filmmakers or seeing the films there. So right now I'm just kind of acting as my own agent, but eventually I will have an agent at some point.
Yeah. All righty. Well, let's. I tell you what. You sent us some pictures. We'll just scroll through those, Gabe,
Sure.
real quick, and and these are different film. I would imagine different film festivals that you've entered in, and so on and so forth. And kind of the unique thing about a film festival is that you get to the audience gets to ask questions of the people representing the movie that are there. Is that a fun process for you?
Yeah, so these are from the Desertscape Film Festival, which was a really special one because it was our world premiere, meaning it was the first time any audiences anywhere in the world had ever seen the film. And it was in St. George, Utah, which was really cool because I live in Los Angeles, we shot the movie in La Grande, Oregon, and I'm from Denver, Colorado. If you were to draw a triangle and find the exact middle of that triangle, it would be St. George, Utah. And what it meant was we could bring people from all of those places. And so we ended up having 49 people travel in for the film festival on top of the film festival's audiences. And so it was as good as it gets in terms of first. And now we're looking at some pictures from stills from within the movie, from the finished film. Just giving La Grande audiences a sneak peek of what they're going to see in the film. So yeah, and there's filming behind the scenes, just kind of what it looks like with crew and all that. Downtown La Grande, a lot of fun. But yeah, to answer back to the film festival thing, it's a way to really show that the film, look, I love movies and I love the art of movies, and the way that we love to experience them is in a movie theater. And so that gives the opportunity to experience it the way it's supposed to be experienced, with the bonus of having the cast and crew on hand, and able to, at the end of the film, for our premiere, we had all 6 of our lead actors, all pictured right here. All of them were able to make it, which was no small feat. We weren't sure we were going to get Chandler until the last, couple days beforehand, but we brought out a great turnout, cast, crew, producers, the works, and had a great time.
That's awesome. So do you ever, when you're in that situation, do you ever get questions that stump you a little bit? Let's come back. We can leave that slideshow.
Yeah.
Do you ever get questions that stump you a little bit from the audience?
I mean, I think that's part of the fun. I'm not someone who has my canned prepared answers before questions. I enjoy that process of thinking on my feet and being like, well, how do I answer that best? I did have a situation where, I was answering a question and I didn't know the answer. And then midway, I realized what the answer was. The question was, when I was writing the screenplay, which character changed the most? And I had never thought about that before. But obviously I wrote 6 drafts of the screenplay, so the characters did change along the way. And I didn't realize my clear, concise answer until, halfway through the answer.
Right,
I was like, this is the character. And sometimes it does need a moment to think on my feet. Obviously, there's some questions that I'm prepared to answer, things like how many days did you shoot, or how long did it take, or how did you get your cast? Those kind of questions I have prepared. But I do love, I was in New York City 2 weeks ago now, and the New York audience, man, their questions were really good. They were asking me stuff about the camera choices and, the themes behind things and all these just really editing choices, all these things that I was really happy to get in the weeds and answer.
Yeah, and you and I we've started to have questions about editing before, because that is like the bones, the guts of the project or the process. Yeah. And I can only imagine. Yeah, I mean that could lead to a lot of conversation, I would imagine.
Definitely. And I think that's what's really cool too is that, the Q&A is quick. It goes really fast. It's 15 minutes at most. But what ends up happening inevitably is there's usually an after party or even just hanging out in the lobby. And that's where I can really get in the weeds and get detailed with people and be tailored to what they want to talk about. And look, just so the audience knows, I first came to La Grande because of the Eastern Oregon Film Festival. So film festivals have been a big part of my interests for a long time, and they've taken me to really cool places and introduced me to really cool people. And it's not just I sit and watch a movie and leave. It's I engage with the filmmakers there, and I meet other filmmakers, and I meet film lovers, people who just bought a pass and love movies. And so the show is not just the movie, but the whole experience of being around lovers of movies.
Yeah. So you sent us a little video, and let's take a look at it, but preface it.
Let
just
me,
a
yeah,
little
I'll
bit.
set it up
Yeah,
first.
yeah. Give us a little thing. Yeah.
So I'm from Denver, and originally we were going to wait. There is a film festival in Denver, but it's not until November. And the theater I grew up seeing movies at is called the Esquire Theater. It was 6 blocks from my childhood home, and
wow.
Denver's a big city. It's a city of, I think, over 1 million people. So it was very special to me to live very close to an independent movie theater. I've seen dozens of movies here and have years of, it's the movie theater where I saw my first documentary, my first foreign film, but also great indie classics. I found out that the theater was going to be closing permanently in July of this year, and there was nothing that could be done about it, and I was very devastated. So to turn a good thing into bad, I said, all right, rather than wait for the Denver Film Festival, let's go for it on our own and just four-wall it, meaning we're going to do our own promotion, our own marketing, sell our own tickets, and make it a big event. And so we brought in Chris Jennings, who is a LeGrand resident and also a producer on the film. He came in along with another producer, Rafi Jacobs, and 2 of our actresses, Brooke Hogan and Carly Stewart. And we built our own event. And being it was a hometown audience for me, we were able to sell the theater out and completely fill the theater. So what you're about to see is a recap highlight reel of what was a one-of-a-kind event on June 19th.
Cool. All right. Well, let's kick this off.
New at 9:30, a local filmmaker is making his big debut as the director here in Denver.
This was for the film Breakup Season, the directorial debut for H. Nelson Tracey, who is from Denver.
Growing up here in Denver, he loved going to the movies with his family over at the Esquire Theater.
And this feature-length film is going to be premiering at the Esquire.
Today, fans of the theater showed up in full force, selling out the premiere, hoping to support the Esquire before they close their doors for good.
The premiere is sold out, but Nelson says they expect to have a few extra tickets available for folks who come out to the theater day of.
How many times have I felt this good? About 15 or 20. How many claps can my little miss do? Infinity, baby. How many friends can I make tonight? I want all of you, baby. And that's what I'll tell you.
Very cool. Yeah. How was
that doesn't.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
How was that? I mean, even watching that, I can tell that just takes you back to however you were feeling in that moment. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's I enjoy it. Just, it's a blur when it goes by, and, imagine a theater full of my 92-year-old grandmother was there. Both my parents and my stepmom was there, my cousins and and then friends of friends, and then also just random people who saw it on the news and bought a ticket. So, just truly a full house of Denverites and people who love movies. And, they were, I guess what I'm grateful is I wouldn't have hosted an event like that if I didn't feel like I had a special movie to share. And, there were scenes in the movie where people were hanging on every single word, and you could hear oohs and ahs and, and laughter, and just the excitement of watching the movie in a great venue with a full house. It doesn't get any better. And yeah, just still kind of coming down from that glow.
Yeah. And I've never done movies, but I've done, productions that I've worked, months on, and then to watch them show in front of a live audience, and just see them respond. The places where you wanted them to laugh, they did, and the places where you wanted them to, you wanted it to be emotive, and it was. And I mean, that's got to be pretty rewarding for you.
Yeah, it's really, I've seen the movie now at a few different venues and a few different places, and there are a few jokes that I can always rely on, and it's really fun. But then there are some surprises. There's some where they're like, oh, I didn't know that was funny, but okay, tonight it is. And then there are moments that are, what I really am proud of the film for is it's a really great balance of comedy and drama. And there are dramatic scenes. I mean, the movie is called Breakup Season after all. And so you can imagine where some of the storyline goes. And so, there is, in the dramatic scenes, you can feel that pin drop silence, and it makes it all the more powerful because 10 minutes earlier, the audience was, laughing and having a ball. And then suddenly it's silent and they're, engaged and paying attention in that way. And that's what, when I think about the movies that I love and the movies that I aspired to make as a filmmaker, I like movies that run the gauntlet of emotions, because that's how life is. It's like there are funny moments in the saddest of times and vice versa.
Yeah. Here's a little bit of a technical question. So you wrote the movie, you had an idea of how it flows from beginning to end, but you don't shoot it in order. You shoot it according to what's convenient. So, whatever the case might be. And so,
sure.
So what was it like when it finally came together for you? I mean, are there ever times it's like, oh, maybe I should move this scene, should be shifted around just a little bit. It makes a little bit more sense. Was there some flow adjustment as you were putting that stuff together?
That's a really good question, and that is very astute. So just yes, movies are usually shot based on it takes a lot of time and effort to move the camera and the gear, and it's a big, basically moving army everywhere you go. So you don't want to have to move unless you absolutely have to. And then even within the house, for example, we did all of these scenes in the upstairs first so that we could just essentially wrap out the upstairs and not have to keep lugging stuff up there, and rather than bring the camera up and down and up and down. So finish everything upstairs first and then move downstairs, and then so on and so forth. And Stephen Mastercola, who is a producer and the first assistant director, is the schedule maestro. So he's the one who he'll read the screenplay and be like, this is the order of operations that makes sense based on, the most efficient. And that's good because it gives me the most time to do scenes. If we're not wasting time moving gear around, I get more time for more takes and more time with my actors to do rehearsals and all that stuff that really makes a big difference when you see a final movie, that when I've had time to really work on that stuff. So then when you're shooting the movie, there is a feeling, especially on the first couple days, where you're like, I hope that's all coming together, but I can't quite see everything because I'm only seeing fragments from throughout the shoot, And then I think it was like the second Monday, so day 6 of shooting. It was a 3-week shoot. We had 15 days, not including getting a lot of the B-roll, like the beautiful snow coming over the mountain and stuff like those kind of shots that LeGrand had no shortage of. But 3 weeks of shooting with the actors and scenes in the movie. I feel like it was about day 6 second Monday where I was like, oh, this could actually be a pretty good movie. And like all that hard work of prep started to really coalesce, and the actors were really delivering. And so, you deliberately don't shoot your biggest, most dramatic scene on day one unless you absolutely have to for some dumb reason. But yeah, you kind of ramp up, and the biggest and the most dramatic scenes came in the later part of the shoot so that we could really earn them and be a well-oiled machine at that point. And then kind of the next stage of it, of course, is the editing. And it's not a screen. I didn't have the luxury of just going to shoot a bunch of stuff that I wasn't sure was going to make the cut. So most of what I shot ended up being in the final film. Obviously, I ended up cutting a couple of scenes, but not a ton. And so I think once you see it in the edit, I think what I noticed is that sometimes a scene would play really well in a vacuum on its own, like a great 2-minute scene that would feel really interesting. But there would be times where when you see it 35 minutes into the movie, you're like, at this point, the audience wants to keep it going. And we actually don't need this information at this point in the story, or it's starting to feel like redundant. And so let's keep it going. And so that is the editing process, and that is its own, time consuming thing that's really enlightening, because you really don't know what you have until you start cutting with it and putting music to it and all that stuff. And then it's like, oh, this is a better sense of how the movie flows.
Yeah, and I would imagine that, when we work on stuff and it's dry and, we're trying to get someplace, but the minute you throw music in and it's the right thing, then it's like, oh man, this feels good. This could work. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll see the movie in October. And I think the hardest part of the whole movie was the first few minutes, because, you have to get people in the movies quickly. And we know that a lot of people are going to see this not in theaters, but at home. And people can shut it off after minute one if they don't like that first music cue, or if they think, it's boring in the first couple seconds. And so, we have an opening credits that started out as a 5-minute long opening credit sequence. And it was way too long. And that seems obvious now, but at the time I was really precious about, I had this cool concept for this long intro to the film that in the final cut, it's a minute long. It's really quick. And it was a case of, like, as an editor, like storytelling as efficiently as possible and finding the right music cue. I probably went through 10 legitimate music contenders. So I was like, I'm one of these 10 could be it. And so that's a lot of trial and error, asking my friends what they think and trying different edits to different music cues, because it's always going to be a little bit different, how it times out with the music. And finally, I'm really happy with the opening, not only the editing, but then the music that goes with it. And yeah, I just kind of, you've got to have a good foundation. And as a director, you have to trust what you have without any of the music, but it's like it finally comes in full color when you hear it with the great soundtrack.
Yeah. Interesting. So, going back to shooting things out of sequence, one of the things that would be really tough, and your actors, so, when you're doing a stage play, for instance, you're doing it in sequence, clearly, and, if you have a key actor and they're angry or frustrated in one scene, they're going to continue that anger and frustration into the next scene. It's easy for them to do that. Well, if you're shooting things out of sequence, then the emotion of the actor, it's all segmented, and so you could be shooting you're shooting all downstairs stuff at the kitchen table, and I've not seen the movie or the set, and so but let's say you could shoot a scene where scenes back to back, and one time there's a fight or there's tension, and the next scene there's happiness and and the actors, they depend upon the director in order to help them be consistent, so that when you go to match that up, you're putting those scenes. Was that a challenge for you at times, communicating that to them?
Yeah, I can weigh in on that a lot. I think, first of all, that's what's so important about those early preparation stages, where it's like, we're going to lay out all this up front and discuss all this ahead of time, so that, I'm angry in scene 7, but I'm happy in scene 9. Like, we know the arc that's going to get us between those two. And that's all discussed ahead of time, because otherwise, yes, it's going to get really confusing. And just to kind of give a little insight into the filmmaking process, one of the more unique positions that's essential on a film is called the script supervisor. And he or she is responsible for, they have the screenplay laid out in front of them the entire time, and they're tracking all of the changes and happenings so that we can shoot out a sequence, but they're going to keep an eye on things like costumes. For example, you would not want to watch a movie where I'm wearing one costume and then I walk down the stairs and suddenly I'm wearing a whole different costume, and it's supposed to be taking place within the same continuity. And that's a really important job in order to make it feel like a real movie and a real, story that we fall into a belief that it's all happening in real time, because they're tracking all those little details, and they will weigh in on stuff like, oh yeah, in the last scene, this is where we left off, or things like we last saw the car parked right here, so we need the car to stay parked right there, because 2 scenes later, it's going to be, right where we left it, and the audience hasn't seen the car been moved, and there hasn't been a chance for it to be moved, and things like that with props. And then really micro stuff like you're filming a dinner table scene, and it's like, well, be sure to put the glass back to where you had it, because that's where it's going to be the entire scene. Otherwise, some people notice it, other people don't, but sometimes you'll see in a movie like a really glaring continuity error where, suddenly in 1 second, a glass magically moves to the other side without anybody touching it. And so, that's kind of the movie making process where you are contending with that, because it's not a play where things happen in real time. And if I shatter a glass because I'm mad, and then in the next cut it's back together, you're going to have a real problem. Whereas if I'm on a stage play and I shatter the glass, that's the choice I've made that evening, and I'm okay for the evening. Like, it's not going to, obviously the next night we might not do that the next time we do the play, but for the movie, it's like all that stuff needs to be really laid out ahead of time and committed to. And that's where both the screenplay, but then acting choices. With all my cast, we talked a lot about those choices ahead of time. And once we, on the day of shooting, once we made our core choices, things like props and costumes and certain blocking, we were going to stick to that. Within that, we're going to change the emotion and do different stuff, but we're going to stick to the core things that make sure that, it doesn't get messy.
Yeah. And
one of my favorite things to do when I watch a movie is to look for discrepancies. Like, I search for plot discrepancies, for shot discrepancies, just because I think it's fun.
Yeah, you can't help but not to, and there are some in the movie. I will not be revealing where they are, and you don't.
I'll find them.
But you'll find them. I challenge accepted, because there's nothing made. There's nothing glaring. I think truly, like, we did a lot of work to make sure there's not, but inevitably there are moments of it. But the goal, we worked really hard to make sure that there's nothing that takes you completely out of it. I saw another movie at a film festival this year where in one shot, the character was wearing blue sneakers, and the next moment they were wearing pink sneakers. And I was like, guys, like, come on, we can do better than that. So there's nothing that glaring. But, of course, there's some little things. And I welcome the challenge. Go for it. Go see what you can find.
Well, we've all seen those errors, but I had never thought about the emotional continuity, and how complicated that would be for the actor at times, to be able to keep track of that, or to remember, oh, that's right. This is, anyhow. So
isn't that one of the major gauges on whether an actor or actress is good or not? Whether they're able to hold, their emotions and to shift back and forth?
I think so. I think there's a lot of stuff where I was working with, actors on a caliber I'd never worked with before, really professional grade actors, people who've been doing this their whole lives. And they really have to be mindful of that stuff and make choices that are really precise so that they can change their emotions within it. But I think there are a lot of telltale signs of a professional that you notice when you're editing, and how good they are being consistent with their blocking and choices like that, so that I don't have to worry about continuity problems. I think there's one of my favorite moments that I discovered in the edit was that Chandler Riggs, who plays our lead actor, and he's been acting in TV since he was 10 years old. And so he is a bona fide pro. He was on 110 episodes of The Walking Dead. And so he's been doing this a long time and had a lot of training in two completely different camera setups, which happen, an hour apart sometimes. But he did the exact same motion with the line of dialogue so that I could edit between them and you wouldn't know the difference. And it was and that was just, he made his choices as an actor blocking wise and committed to them on every single take, so that from an editor's perspective, it was a dream, because I could just choose exactly the point that made sense to cut, instead of having to worry about continuity and his hand's over here and now it's over there, and now I can't edit with that. He was doing he just this really subtle, kind of brushes his chin, and you'll see it in the movie now that I've pointed it out. But I was just, and it's subtle. If I hadn't said anything, it would just flow seamlessly. You wouldn't notice. But it was just holy moly, this guy is a true pro. On top of that, doing all of the emotional, okay, I need to be this type of motivation and drive in this scene. I need to have this emotion in that scene. I mean, yeah, these guys are the real deal.
Well, and that, man, I appreciate that. And then, you see also, I mean, I've done some acting and some stage stuff, but the nuance, the expressions, I mean, that is super crazy that, a really good actor can communicate something just by, a raised eyebrow or a smirk, or, I mean, it's just, and do you direct that stuff, or do you just hope that they do that? I don't know
Well, actually, let me talk about our lead actress, Samantha Isler. And she, I think, that's her biggest strength as an actress, is she can convey stuff with her eyes and with single expressions, to the point where in the edit, I cut a lot of dialogue because she was telling the audience everything she needed to with her face expressions. That you can only direct so much. A lot of it is the actors bringing themselves. And so, I can't take credit for the fact that she can have a slight side eye glance and we know how she's feeling. And you don't need to you don't have to have a degree in anything to know what she's doing. That's what actors do, is they make it so that anyone can watch and we know exactly the discomfort that she has, or the sadness that she has, or whatever the point of the emotion is. And so I learned as a writer, with a good actor, you can cut your dialogue down, because I'd have lines of dialogue that were supposed to convey the emotion she's had, but she was doing it with her face and doing it with a slight expression, which was way more exciting and interesting than any of the, boring lines of dialogue that I wrote.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. But that's where, I think my approach with directing is less to tell them, okay, now twitch your eyebrows here, or now, look over there, or whatever. I'm more just going to tell them the emotions that I want to convey, and usually I tell a lot of stories, or I talk about where the writing ideas came from. They then get to decide how to express that.
Yeah. Well, and that, I really appreciate, because that's not who I am as an actor. I'm just working on trying to get the lines right, let alone to react in the right way to something that's being said, So that's that's admirable. Well, so now tell us before we wrap up, tell us what's happening next. Tell us when you're coming to La Grande. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So we have, including the ones coming up, we've got about 20 film festivals confirmed so far, and we're waiting on many, many more, and they're all over the country. Next up, I'm going to Tulsa, and then I'm going to Waco, Texas. But for La Grande audiences, the date to save is October 18th, which will be when we are in La Grande, Oregon, as part of the 15th Eastern Oregon Film Festival. And this is really a homecoming for us. This was a film that was born out of the Eastern Oregon Film Festival. I first came to this film festival 5 years ago, and I've been coming back basically every year since. I think I missed 1 year, but this film was developed through a program called the Eastern Oregon Filmmakers Residency, and it's really finally a chance, because the audiences in LeGrand have been very patient, but we wanted to bring it back to where it all started, at the Eastern Oregon Film Festival. And that happens every October, but this year is going to be a banner year for the film festival. And our film is the Friday night film, right smack dab in the middle of the festival. And passes are now on sale. You can go to eofilmfest.com and, get a pass, come for the whole weekend. But the showcase, bringing Breakup Season back is really going to be a centerpiece event. A lot of special people are going to be coming into town. It'll be my mom has never been to LeGrand, Oregon. She's coming for the first time, and then we're working on bringing as many of the cast back as we can. I can't confirm anyone yet, but you can be rest assured we're working on bringing some very special guests.
What year was that film residency? 2021?
2021. So yeah, I was here for the month of May 2021. That's when
that
I
was the first time you were ever on the morning show.
Yes, it was. Yeah, that's when I met you guys and first talked about it. And yeah, I mean, it's like pretty quick for an indie movie. We just kind of I'm very much deadline driven type of person, and I had the deadline of if I wanted to make this particular movie, I had to shoot it in the winter. And so once it was 2022 and February 2023 was our very narrow window, and we had to hit it. And, it wasn't like I think a lot of times indie movies kind of hope and wait for an actor to get attached and then get going. We had the opposite. We were like, we're shooting February 2023, regardless of who's in this movie. And Gotcha. I think the actors actually responded better to that. They were like, oh, I could do that. And, we booked a lot of our cast very last minute, because if you're an actor and you don't have anything lined up in February, you may as well go to an indie for 3 weeks, have a good time, and then go on to do whatever else you're doing. And that's what happened with a lot of our key cast, is they were, they just happened to be free. And we got, if we'd been 1 week different, we wouldn't have had Chandler in our movie. He was busy every other time. So it's just like, I truly have to believe the film society that hangs over us in the clouds was like, this movie should happen, So, because we had so many things like that. I mean, things like the weather, like we could have never had predicted what the weather was going to be like. And we got so lucky with weather from top to bottom and got all the stuff we needed there. So yes, I know everyone's been really patient in LeGrand, and I cannot wait for everyone to see it. But mark your calendars for October 18th. It'll be here before we know it.
It's awesome. So before we get you out of here, let's go back to that film festival question, because you never answered it. What character changed the most?
Oh, sure. Well, that's where. So the movie's about these two relationships. It's a man and a woman. Ben and Cassie are the characters' names, and Cassie is the girlfriend visiting his Ben's family for the first time. And Cassie, I think, changed the most of anyone, because she has a really tough situation where she sort of sparks the breakup that is the title of the movie. And that's really tough to do, because I didn't want to make her look mean or look unsympathetic. I needed to make that feel believable and make the audience be like, I know exactly why she did that, and without going over the top. So I think she was the character that I had to massage the most. In my first draft, she was just straight up mean and, unredeemable. And I knew that I needed to make her the character that we rooted for, because if that didn't work, then the whole rest of the movie is built on that decision. She has the decision that really sparks the conflict in the movie.
Nice.
Cool.
Very
So,
cool.
and the October 18th, going back to the film festival, that showing is going to be at the McKenzie Theater. So, right? Hopefully it'll be packed
Yep.
out.
That's what we intend for it to be full. There are a lot of people chomping at the bit, and we're not only visiting filmmakers, but of course, local LeGrandians. I mean, it's really, LeGrand is a special place to me. I've spent a lot of time here now, and so I've built my own friendships and community out here. And coming on shows like this is just a way to remind people it's a rare case to see a big screen production of your town, and you will see a lot of sites that you recommend. I have a feeling it's going to be a very rowdy screening, because there's going to be a lot of excitement to see some of the locations where we filmed, and and how we use them, because it's probably not what you're expecting. But yes, we covered all over Main Street, and then there are some actors. Obviously, we had our 6 lead actors who are not from LeGrand, but they go into town and they run into people, and there are a few people with lines of dialogue, and we had some background actors. And so you'll see some familiar faces that may or may not be in the movie that you'll be like, oh my gosh. And so I think that element is going to be really priceless. And so, obviously you can watch the movie when it's finally out around Christmas, but that LeGrand premiere, I cannot encourage enough to attend.
Regarding the premiere, real fast, which I'm assuming it's probably going to sell out. Is there anything in the works to maybe show it again that weekend or that week?
Yeah, I think what we'll do, obviously we got to sell out first and then decide what we want to do. But I think, yes, I would say encourage people to go for it, because I think we don't want to put the cart before the horse,
Right.
Like, I think first sell out this one. But yeah, right now passes are on sale for the whole film festival, and those take the priority. And so, that's available if you're dead set on going. I would grab a pass and just stay for the whole weekend. I have gotten a sneak peek at the lineup from Chris Jennings, festival director. It's a killer lineup. It's just a banner year for movies, and a lot of overlap. There are some of movies featuring some of the other, or movies with the actors from our film in other movies too. And it's really a cool showcase of great actors and great talent. And Oregon filmmakers and other filmmakers who are peers and colleagues of mine. So passes are on sale now, and that's the way to definitely reserve a seat for the ones who are definitely going to be there. And then eventually tickets will go on sale, and we will, but we'll see how it goes. And if it's an instant sellout, we'll come to that when we get to it. But yeah, it won't be the last time people can see it. I can promise you that. But I would say right now, definitely that's where we're prioritizing attention.
Cool.
I'm sure. Are you hoping that eventually this will be on some streaming platform somewhere?
Yes, that's the plan. And so I don't know if it will be there by Christmas. It will be available to watch at home by Christmas Day. That I can mark my words. It might not be on it might not be on HBO, but it will be on some form of platform. We have at least one conversation, that's happening that is legitimate, that's going to be there. And so I can guarantee it'll be out by Christmas Day. And then eventually what happens a lot of times with indies is maybe they'll play one place first, and then they'll maybe go onto a streamer for 3 months down the line, or maybe around Valentine's Day, because the movie's about breakups. So maybe, it's like, okay, you're feeling alone this Valentine's Day, here's a movie for you, something like that. So, so yes, I can assure you, it'll be readily available, coming later.
Excellent. Well, hey, Nelson, thank you so much for being with us today. And giving us the update. We're excited for this, it's like, this is awesome. And
thank you, Brent. Yeah, no, let's definitely circle back as we get closer to it, and sort of we can hype it up even further. But I'm always happy to come back, and you have a really cool kind of archive of the status of the project, because you've seen it along the way. And a year ago I was deep in the edit, and I didn't even know how the final film was going to look. And now it's like the movie's done. It's on its film festival run, and then we'll have a big update come October, and you can finally see what I've been talking about for years now. So yeah.
Well, and I want you to know that there are signature businesses here in the Valley and signature property owners that they buy property here and they invest in LeGrand. They're business owners. They invest in the local sports teams and so on and so forth. We love doing business with those kind of people, but there's also owners. They're owners of property and so on and so forth, and they invest in LeGrand and in Eastern Oregon, and it makes a huge difference. And sometimes that investment doesn't pay for itself. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. And I guess I just want you to know that I see the investment that you guys have made in the film, in this community, and I appreciate it. I mean, I recognize that's
Thank you.
It's not always been easy for you. I mean, This is
true.
There's some
Yeah,
times
no.
that it would have been a lot less expensive to make the film somewhere else, or the community. I mean, you just run into roadblocks, whatever it might be. And I just want you to know that I appreciate your investment. I appreciate you doing it here.
Thank you.
It makes a difference. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's not lost on me. And yes, LeGrand is not the traditional place to make a movie. It was the first movie of any scale that had been made here in a very long time. But that's kind of from a creative standpoint, it added a lot of unique character that wouldn't otherwise be there. But yeah, I mean, I do love LeGrand, and it has created some challenges at times, and there's a financial element that's very difficult and that I continue to work on. But if it allows me to make movies, I will do that hard work to get to have the satisfaction and make something special. So yes, thanks. I really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
And more to come.
All righty.
Awesome.
Well, thanks a bunch. We will.
Yeah.
We'll talk more down the road as we kind of
Sounds
ramp
good.
up to the local premiere here. Thanks a bunch.
Absolutely.
All right.
Good.
All right. You want to get us out of here?
Let's do it. It's already that time, huh?
Yeah.
July 2nd, on this day, 1865, one-time Methodist Reformed Church minister William Booth and his wife Catherine Booth found the East London Christian Mission. What's it called now, BC?
Salvation Army.
Salvation Army, it is. 1881, U.S. President James Garfield is shot by Charles Guiteau, who was like trying to become president himself.
Okay.
And dies 79 days later.
Wow.
1962 on this day was a huge day.
1962.
It happened in Rogers, Arkansas. A store opened. What store was it?
Rogers, Arkansas. I don't know. Sears,
The
Montgomery.
very first Walmart ever.
Really?
Yep.
62.
Yep,
Wow.
Sam Walton.
Okay.
We'll jump all the way 40 years later. No, actually, let's make that 60 years later. 2022. The earliest evidence for the use of opium from 14th century BCE found in burials in what is now Israel. 14th century? Like they were smoking opium in the 14th century? The number one song on this day in 1974, this one's for you, bud. This is like right in your prime time heyday. Sundown by Gordon Lightfoot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how old would that song would be? 50 years old. 50.
What year was it?
1974 on this
74.
day. 50 years ago. And then the quote of the day comes from Bob Marley. One good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain. One more time. One good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain.
Have you seen that Bob Marley film?
No.
Yeah, I haven't either. So.
Nope.
All righty. Well, thank you guys for being here. No show on Thursday, but there will be a stream Thursday night. Probably be starting 9.
Yeah, we might go live a couple times just to touch in with people before that. But yeah, it'll probably be like 10 because it doesn't get dark till late now this time of year.
Yeah, so be sure and tune in for that. And other than that, we'll see you next Tuesday right here.